Good evening, everyone. It's about 8 o'clock here in Kentucky, and my name is Sheila Harrison, and I'd like to welcome you to our Wednesday night Healy Health Call. It's so glad to see that the room is filling up tonight. It's always a very popular call that we have every week, and so we're very grateful to be bringing to you this special call that a lot of folks are tuning into because they want to hear about this new technology as it pertains to their health and wellness and well-being, balance, and having a balanced life with a brand new technology that's new to the U.S. that just came here on May 1st. It's been storming across the globe for the last 15 months, now in 45 countries, but we're so very happy to have it here in the U.S. and actually here to my home in Kentucky, and I've been experiencing it, this technology and actually frequency type therapy, and for about 3.5 weeks now. So I'm very, very, very excited about bringing this call to you so that you can hear from some of the people in the medical profession. So some of our actual healthcare professionals will be sharing tonight, some people that maybe even have an understanding of frequency and vibration and how the science behind the Healy and how it actually works. So before we get started, as you can see here in front of you on the screen is our disclaimer. So we don't make any claims here at Healy to treat, diagnose, or cure. We say that frequencies can help everything, and it's up to our bodies, your body, to determine what that outcome is. But you'll be hearing from, like I said, some people in the medical profession tonight. They may use different terms than we as lay people can use, but just so you know, as a disclaimer, here you can see in front of us that Healy is a microcurrent medical device that has been cleared by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration to relieve acute, chronic, and arthritis pain, muscle soreness due to overexertion. Healy has a non-medical application as individualized frequencies to help balance your mind, body, and relieve stress. So anyways, you can read the rest of it. You can find our disclaimer at www.healyworld.net. And we do want everyone that's here tonight, if you're here for the first time, we want you to know that this device is attracting people from all walks of life, from health and wellness enthusiasts to naturopathic doctors, homeopathic doctors, chiropractors, the medical doctors. We have a whole team of doctors, and you're going to get to hear from the guy that I consider kind of our team doctor, who is responsible for helping bring this to our group here in the USA in this call. He's with us each Wednesday night. Before we get started, there's a 2-minute video. I'm going to go back in this presentation and share with you in case you're new here so you can understand what this Kentucky girl is babbling on about here in frequency microcurrents. So just 1 second and you're going to understand a little bit more. So join me with this short video.
One of the greatest inventors of all time, Nikola Tesla, the genius who lit the world, once said, "If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration." Say you are listening to the radio in your car and do not like the music that you are hearing. What do? You change the frequency. What many people fail to realize is that we can take charge of our frequencies in the exact same way. We tend to reduce our body's anatomy down to a simplified version that consists of only flesh and blood. But everything on this planet, animals, plants, and water, are made of atoms, which produce, emit, and receive energy, which operates at a specific frequency. Everything. All our tissues, cells, organs, emotions, and thought patterns have their own unique electromagnetic fields, as do allergens, viruses, or bacteria. All things have a frequency, including you, the human body. You always want to be healthy, active, and balanced. That's what makes up Healy. With a quantum sensor that uses individually determined frequencies to stimulate specific areas of your body. Researchers like Dr. Carolyn McMacken and Nuno Mina have in their clinical practice the effect of tens of thousands of such frequencies studied and tested. The result of these decades of experience is now available to you. 144,000 gold frequencies all day, with an intuitive app that puts the future into your hands. Welcome to Healy World. It's not science fiction. It's science.
It's not science fiction, it's science. And that is exactly what we're here to hear about tonight. You know, we do presentations about this incredible product and all that it can do, but it's really wonderful to be able to hear from the medical profession. I do have a partner who is all the way from the great north who's joining me as a co-host tonight. I just want to make sure, Spencer Crowder, are you with me?
I am with you. Hello, hello, hello.
Fantastic. And Spencer, I know you are so excited about this technology coming to Canada, hopefully very soon.
Yes, but we are working really hard to get our people all lined up, and we're talking to our people in the States, and we're looking at all those 46 countries, and it's going to be hard holding us Canadians back. Let's put it that way.
I can believe that already. You know, my normal co-host for this call, we're so thrilled to be bringing different people on, is from Canada, from Calgary, Alberta. And of course, Terry will be back with us next week. We're so excited to have her back. And so thank you, Spencer, for joining in with me tonight. Yep. And if you'll watch the chat at the very end, if you have questions, ladies and gentlemen, drop them in the chat below. Please do not be condition specific with your questions, but I know that you would probably maybe like to get some questions answered or a better clarity and understanding of what we're talking about here. So please feel free throughout this call to drop your questions in the chat. If you would like to speak or share, then you can also put that in the chat, and Spencer will be sure to call on you. Right now, I would like to, first I'm just going to bring Doc Steve on really quick, and he'll be coming back toward the end to answer questions. We have a couple more doctors on. Our team is filled with doctors from chiropractors, veterinarians, naturopathic, homeopathic doctors, just MDs. Dr. Jim Hayes is a part of our Healy team, and he unfortunately has to get up to go to ER in the morning at 3:30, so he's not with us. But we have a couple of other doctors that are going to share tonight, along with Dr. Steve Small. Dr. Steve, I'm so grateful for you. You and I have been locking arms here for the last 90 days. So excited to be working side by side to share this with so many people, from laymen to other doctors. And so would you come on really quick and just share with us how this all started with you?
Yes, thank you for having me, Sheila. It's always a pleasure to be on these calls. Well, it all started over 20 years ago, actually, if you think back, because I've been in practice now for the last 43 years, primarily in the field of preventive medicine, functional medicine, nutritional medicine, homeopathic medicine. And then about 20 years ago, I got involved in a field called quantum energetic medicine. At that point in time, and currently been using a device that was originally developed by one of the scientists at NASA that works with frequencies. And it allowed me to look at the body in a whole different way than I was able to through traditional laboratory tests and blood tests, etc., which tend to be very static and talk about only what's at that moment in time. And with the use of frequency medicine, I was able to really understand the underlying cause of most conditions and be able to treat people at that level, and also be able to treat people on the level of energy. And since we're, as we said at the beginning of this little video here, everything is energy, as Nikola Tesla said. And also Albert Einstein made a statement in 1955 where he said that the future of medicine is frequency medicine. So two of the greatest scientists of our age, of the 20th century, both directed us to the direction of frequency, and they were both right. Because when you work at the level of frequency, you really are able to work at the level of the body to do the most correction in the quickest period of time. So having worked in this field for the last 20 years, I always had a dream. And that dream was that one day, somehow, somewhere, a device would come along that was sort of a miniaturized version of the one that I use in my office. And I'd be able to give it to my patients as they left after their treatments and said, okay, now you can continue what I've been doing with you at home. And so I thought initially that it was going to be the company that I was working with, but it didn't happen that way. And back in about the end of October, beginning of November, when I realized that wasn't happening, I basically put an intention out to the universe. And intention is really important for everything we would like to create in our lives. I work on that level and have for many, many years, but especially when you work on the level of frequency medicine, intention is really the key. When you do a scan on yourself, when you do a scan on somebody else, you always want to hold a very clear and very specific intention of what it is you're looking to create that really assists you in getting where you want to go. So I put an intention out to the universe, basically asked for a device come forward for me that was a portable frequency device that I'd be able to use and share with patients. And I was very specific about it because when you work on the level of intention and you work on the level of frequency, the more specific you can get about what it is you're looking for, the better chance it is that the universe will come up with that answer. So I actually even use the word Germany because of the fact that having worked in the field for so many years and having been to Germany and studied in Germany, I knew that Germany produces most of the best frequency devices out there. And then literally 7 days later, the answer showed up. The Healy showed up in my life. It was one night, very late at night, on the internet, doing research as I usually do in the late hours of the evening. I came across this page in German, couldn't read it, but kind of had some sort of an attraction or resonance for me, so to speak. I put that page through Google Translate. When I saw what it was that it was talking about, I said, I can't believe this is exactly what I'm looking for, and it's come to me so quickly after putting it out into the universe. And that's the beauty of working with frequency and the universe, is that you'll get results almost instantaneously if you're really clear and focused upon what it is you're looking for. So there was no real contact info, and there was definitely no contact info in the US, but there was a name of a person who I found him through Google, and I wrote him a note telling him who I was, my experience, and that I was looking for this device, and that if it was what I was thinking it would be, I'd be interested in distributing it in the United States. And within 24 hours, I got a call from him. And after 2.5 hours on the phone, we decided that, in fact, this was what I was looking for. And he was going to send me the device to the US, even though it wasn't available yet, so that I'd be able to try it on myself and try it on patients and see what kind of results I got and make a decision if this is something I would really like to help bring forward. Well, I got the device and immediately used it, and I have some chronic conditions that have come about. I won't go into detail, but it happened through a car accident that I had many, many years ago, over 20 years ago, almost a near fatal car accident. And it left me with many conditions, and one of them was that in the last 1.5 years, I wasn't able to drive my car. And having utilized every possible approach I could and wasn't successful, I kind of gave up and figured, well, you know, I'm 68 years old now, and I guess I'll have to rely on Uber and Lyft and friends to take me around. And so when the device came in, I said, you know what? I'm going to try this on something that if this can change this condition, then to me, it's a miracle, because this is something I've been dealing with for such a long period of time. And so I used the device on 3 nights. You can use the device. It's portable anywhere, anytime. It fits in the palm of your hand. And I was watching television, and I hooked up the device, and I looked through the programs, saw that there were a number of programs that worked on the level of the neurological system, because when you have any kind of condition like I have, neuropathy, things of that nature, it's in the neurological condition, it's inflammatory, and I ran those programs, 2 programs a night for 3 nights in a row. And on the 4th day when I woke up, I was amazed at the fact that as soon as I woke up in the morning, I could tell that it had reversed. It wasn't there anymore. It wasn't present, because I usually always focus on my foot. It's the first thing that my attention is drawn to when I wake up. And in fact, I had no issues with it for the next couple of days, and then decided to put it to the ultimate test. As I mentioned, I couldn't drive anymore because I lost proprioception in that foot. And I took my car out with a friend for a drive and drove a half hour to brunch and drove back, and no issues. And to this day, 6 months later, that condition that I had for 20 years and the driving issue that I had for the last 1.5 years were completely resolved through the use of the specific frequencies of this device in only 3 days. And when that happened, I said, oh my God, this is something I not only want to get behind, but I have to share it with as many people as I can get in touch with. All of my patients, my colleagues, just everybody that I meet, because this is a game changer as far as I'm concerned. You know, I've always believed in my practice that the future of medicine is really self-care, and that if we can teach and educate our patients and give them tools to use to be able to work on their own health in their homes on a daily basis, then we'd be able to really make a dent in terms of what's going on in our healthcare these days, and really focus more on prevention, which is what I love to do with people, get them to that state of health and keep them well. And if now there was a device that was available that was affordable and portable that people could actually use in the privacy of their own homes and deal with the conditions they've been dealing with for many, many years instead of looking towards pharmaceuticals, and get to that level where they get to that place where they're working with it preventively, to me, that would be an absolute game changer. Sure enough, this is what the Healy is. I am so excited to be one of the first people that has had this in the United States and to be able to share it with so many people, including yourself, Sheila. From the very beginning, you were immediately interested in this and wanted to do whatever you could do to assist people in getting on board. And we're kind of working together as a partnership because your expertise is in the field of network marketing. So you lend a lot of information to people to assist them on that level. And I work along with you in giving as much of my background and my expertise in the field of frequency medicine. And together we have created a team of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And every day more and more people find out about this. And once they get it, they get their own miracles that happen. I love getting those phone calls as soon as a person receives their own Healy, telling me about their conditions that they've had and how within just a couple of uses of the Healy, they've already turned it around. And then of course, it's just a process of sharing. So I don't even look at this as a selling process. I look at this as a sharing process, because everyone that tries it out, the first question they have for me is how, when, and where can I get this? And that's the way it's been since day one. And so this is great. And I love to be on these calls and to share with other health practitioners and to experience other people's testimonials and just be there to support people in the ability of this device and answer any specific questions they might have on a technical level on what we have here. So I'm going to turn it back over to you, Sheila.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Steve. You know, I do believe, and of course, Spencer here joining us from Canada has the one who taught me many years ago that self-care, that's what they've been teaching in Canada. Self-care is the new healthcare. And I really do believe we have a category creator, and we're really entering even more with what's going on in the world, a paradigm shift, Doc Steve, where people are really looking to take charge and be proactive with their health. And I believe the Healy brings us a great opportunity to do that. And I know just in the 3.5 weeks that it's entered here into the States, there's been remarkable stories, and that's what it's all about, is helping people. Now, Dr. Steve, we know that our founders and creators, Marcus Meeking and Dr. Nuno Nina, brought this, came together to create this, collaborated, and it took them like 4 years and 25 million euros to create the Healy. But what someone brought up in the questions just a moment ago that I saw was, you know, how the time waiver product, and you've kind of had this type of equipment in your office and used it for years to help people live better lives and be healthier and balanced and more active. But so once you got the Healy, I know you've shared this with us before. Could you elaborate a little bit on how this helped you with the neuropathy situation with you specifically, and not so much from a condition standpoint, but from the fact that it was maybe specific to you versus the time waiver product? Does that question make sense, Doc Steve?
I get the feeling of what you're asking here. So first of all, I want to say that you know, this is not just a new device that just happened to show up kind of spontaneously in a way, although it may have sounded it because it showed up that way in my life. But the Healy device is actually based on another medical device, sort of the parent device that is similar to the one that I use in my practice with my patients on a daily basis. The time waiver device has been around for approximately 14 years in Germany, used by German doctors with their patients. And it's primarily the same technology, and they have spent the last about 4.5, 5 years creating a miniaturized version of their technology, which is what we have now, known as the Healy. So it's a smaller version of the time waver, and is basically uses the same principles, which is the principle of frequency microcurrent. And what we mean by frequency microcurrent is the fact that we have a device that delivers a very small amount of current into our body, and that current works directly with the cells of our body to maintain a certain cell level voltage, which ideally should be -70 millivolts. And when our bodies operate on that level and our cells are at that level, we are in health, because that is the level of young, healthy cells. As we age and as conditions occur, that cell level voltage usually begins to drop in our bodies and gets to a point where at around -50 millivolts or so, we start moving into a level of inflammation. And then as we go further down in the -30s, we can start developing things like tumors. And then at 0 millivolts, well, it's over. Because we are electrical beings, i.e. EKGs, EMGs, etc., ECGs. And therefore, I liken it when I talk to lay people to try to describe our bodies like flashlights. And we all know what happens when our batteries start to run out with a flashlight. The light starts to dim, and at the point of, if you don't replace those batteries, the light goes out. Well, the same thing basically happens in our bodies. We have to continuously replace the energetic level of our system. And if we don't do that on a regular basis, we don't produce enough ATP, which means we don't produce enough energy. And we all know that one of the first things that people all want when you ask them in their health what it is they're looking for, one of the first things people will always say is energy, at least in my practice. And that's a reason why there are so many Starbucks on every street corners, and everybody runs to things like Red Bull and energy drinks, because we're looking for energy. And so we have a microcurrent device. What that does is it enables us to increase the cell voltage to that level of -70 millivolts, or that healthy cell level, which creates a situation where we can increase the output of ATP, which is the energy factories in the mitochondria of our cells, by at least 500%. So we are creating that natural energy source. But then the frequency part of this actually comes in, and what the frequencies do, and there are 140,000 unique frequencies in a secure medical cloud in Germany. Those frequencies are like the driver of a car. They really direct where that energy goes to in the body. And so the combination of having the electrical current and the specific frequencies really is what does the work. And so it's unique in that most frequency devices that you see out there are what I call fixed frequency devices or static frequency devices, things like PEMF or Rife machines. In those types of devices, you have a device that produces a certain frequency, and you have a book or a guide that tells you what the frequency is, like 103.4 hertz, etc., for a specific condition. And you run that specific frequency on yourself every single day. And if 10 people were treating themselves, for example, for a broken arm, they'd all be running that 103.7 frequency every day. But the body is not like that, and I've never really looked upon that approach. My approach is biochemical individuality, and I've always felt that everyone is unique, and therefore you can't treat everybody the same. And the beauty of having the Healy is that it uses a dynamic frequency approach, because one of the things that we have that no other devices have is the capability of artificial intelligence in that medical cloud. And that artificial intelligence specifically selects the frequencies that our unique bodies need in the moment. And therefore, if there were 10 people in a room that were using this for a broken arm, and if I was to go around and look at their at the apps on their phone that show me which frequencies come down, it would be different for every single person. And if those people and myself use that device tomorrow or the next day, again, those frequencies would be different, because they adapt to what your body needs in the moment. And that's how our device is so different than all the other frequency devices that I have ever come across. And in my condition, I look specifically, as I said, towards the different types of programs, like the nervous system programs and the nerve meridian balancing programs, because those were more aligned with my condition. And when you run those programs, there's a cluster of, say, 500 frequencies that are associated with any individual program that you might run. But again, at the moment you run the program, the first 5 to 10 minutes, the frequencies are coming down, trying to assess which specific ones your body needs. And then for the rest of the time, which is usually a total of about 50 minutes or so, those specific frequencies are being selected for you and are run in certain 10-second intervals. So you always have the frequencies that your body needs for that specific condition. And that's why I believe I got such a very quick turnaround in terms of my condition, because it was so specific and so individualized. So hopefully that addressed what you were asking, and if not, I can be more specific.
No, absolutely. That's exactly what I think that one of our guests tonight was asking, and you did a very, very great job of explaining that. I learned something new myself from every single call that we have each week on Wednesday. So thank you so much, Doc Steve. I'm going to move on to another guest tonight, and we'll be circling back around to you, Doc Steve, with some questions here in a moment. Spencer, you're keeping an eye on those. But Dr. de Blasi, Dr. Jim Hayes said you would be with us. I saw you come on earlier. I wondered if you would unmic and be willing to share with us for a moment, Dr. de Blasi.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so happy to have you here tonight. And we would just like to open the call up for you to share. I know you're very excited about what's going on here with Healy, and so I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
All right, well, thank you. And hello, everybody. Dr. Jim de Blasi. I am a chiropractor, and I've been in practice for 42 years, doing some frequency medicine, functional medicine, lasers, all these kinds of things over the years. But when Dr. Hayes called me up and said, you got to see this thing, I told him no more. No, I don't want anything. I don't want anything. But he said, just take a look at this video. And my wife, Deb, next to me here, we both were watching it, and our mouths hit the floor. Just like Dr. Steve said, it was something he's been looking for, something I've been looking for a very long time period. And so when we got our little device, I couldn't get it to work. And we went through a lot to get it, and finally we got it to work. And it has been unbelievable, the results that we've been getting. And with this device, I don't treat anybody. What I do is I help to provide care that they need for the different situations, whatever those might be. But when patients text me later on that day, after they got just a small little fraction of time with that machine, it's blowing me away. In fact, just before the meeting tonight, I had another patient ask me if they could come in and get a treatment, because what I did with him last week caused his mental clarity to come back, his energy levels. He had intestinal issues, and his pain, I mean, just everything just changed. And so we've been introducing this, like I said, to our patients, and it's amazing. People getting better, being able to do examinations. We had some students who just finished taking some tests, and they aced them, and that's not usual for them, and sleeping better. Some people have lost weight already. A lot of different energy, like I said. One woman, she actually was, we had done a little bit, again, of a treatment on her. And that night she texted me, she goes, how do I get one of these? And her name is Sheila, and I said, I know how to definitely get you one of these. And needless to say, the next day she purchased one for herself, and she is a massage therapist, and she wants to use it on her patients. So I said, that's the way that it has to be, because we can only do so much for people. But now with this machine and the 15 years of experience from Time Waiver, and that's all combined into this machine, it's blowing things up. I mean, it's just amazing the differences that we're seeing in a very short period of time. And that's the nice part about it. It's not something that's going to take forever. So do you have any questions for me?
Well, that's pretty exciting. I know that, with the Healy, of course, in your practice, you know, in a doctor setting and, you know, going to see my chiropractor, you're used to going in and having to use a piece of equipment that costs $35,000 or $40,000 or more, and then you get to go in once or twice a week. But don't you find it amazing, Dr. de Blasi, that someone can actually use this every single day, and even at your recommendation, maybe even fine tune it even more, and the experiences that they're getting, I can see already that it's gotten you as excited as it has me. But is that part of the, you know, the whole picture here is that, you know, it's affordable for everyone, right?
Yes, and that's the nice part. I'm happy that that is, you know, the money portion of it is enough so that people can buy it and then start using it. And it's not hard to use. I mean, it's not like some of the instruments that Doc Steve or the other doctors have been using. We have to learn for 6 to 8 months how to do this before you should even work it on a patient. And with this, I mean, within just a matter of hours, we were able to start using it on ourselves, of course. Oh, by the way, we used it on our little girl, our little dog. She's 13 years old, and we used it on her, and even her demeanor has changed. She's you know, she's not 13 anymore, it looks like. So we're just very, very excited. I'm happy that Dr. Steve got to talk to Dr. Hayes, which got to talk to me, and we're just running with it. I mean, we're doing everything we can.
Well, I know it's amazing if you know, certainly in a medical profession, all of you ladies and gentlemen that are there, you have a healer's heart, or you wouldn't be in that space, in that profession. But there, you know, just for laymen like me that just loves to help people and make a difference in their health and wellness, this has been incredible. You know, it's just, and so I know that this tool that you have now as doctors and healthcare providers, this has got to be very exciting for you. Would your wife like to share anything before we move on, Dr.
That's up to her.
Well, would you like to share?
Sure. What I've been really doing is speaking to moms. I am a mom, and I know that there's been challenges with my kids over the years. Middle of the night, those things like, okay, you're vomiting or you've got a fever or whatever. And thank goodness my husband being a wellness practitioner, there were things that he had in his magical bag of tricks that could help. But most moms and parents don't have that. And so that's who I've really been sharing with parents that, I mean, what would it be worth for you to have something to help your child when you really don't know what is going on with them? And a safe option that you don't have to take them to the emergency room or go get some kind of medication or just try something. That's where my heart is going.
Well, I can see that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I can see that, you know, my daughter's in Florida and I can't wait. She's 23, but I can't wait for her to get her very own Healy. And she's already so excited about hearing everything I'm sharing with her. But especially for moms with kids, that really resonates with me. And thank you both so much for sharing. And I'm looking at my phone here because Dr. Jim Hayes sent me another doctor's name. I believe that it's Dr. Orta. Do we have a doctor on tonight? Doc Steve, do you know? Let's see here if I can get into my phone. It always locks me out. But he sent me the name.
I'm glad you brought up, Dr. de Blasi, I'm glad you brought up the whole animal, because, you know, it was one of the first things I did also. I have a dog that he's actually the therapy dog in my practice. And
yeah, Dr. Orta is online.
With the whole COVID situation that occurred here, I haven't been seeing patients personally. I've been doing a lot of telemedicine for the last 2 months, and he's used to patients coming in every single day ever since he's been, you know, 3 months old. And greeting them and showing them into the office and doing all that sort of stuff. And then I noticed a couple of months ago, he started getting really depressed. I mean, you can actually see an animal getting depressed because he didn't have his purpose anymore, which was to really work with patients. And so one day I just decided, you know what, I've been treating everyone else, why not treat him? And I treated him, and within less than an hour, his entire demeanor and disposition completely turned around. And the great news is that, you know, I'm working directly. I've been asked to be on the product development team with Germany. And so we are developing a whole bunch of additional programs that are going to be coming forward. And one of the next programs that are going to be out very shortly before the end of the summer is a complete animal protein program, which will have all the animal imbalances and diseases in it too. So even though we can use the device right now for animals, imagine having one that's specific to all types of animal conditions. And that is one that is coming out, very shortly. And that's a whole other marketplace. As you're probably all aware, people sometimes spend more money on pets' health care than they do on their own health care. So once that becomes available, I think this is going to take off to an entirely different level.
Absolutely true. And Dr. de Blasi, I'm so glad you brought that up. I have a little Yorkie poo and she's had digestive problems. And so I was almost ready to reach out to Doc Steve and say, oh, can I use my Healy before we get the pet program? But it's just amazing, our animals, our families, and the people we care about, that we can make a difference with this incredible frequency microcurrent therapy type approach. So I know Dr. Orta, I know you're on here because someone said you are, and that is the right name. Dr. Orta, are you on the call with us tonight?
How do I answer?
There you are.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, how you doing?
Well, I'm doing fantastic, and Dr. Jim Hayes has asked me to bring you on. I don't have your bio, so I'm not giving you guys a proper introduction, but I know that our team is filled with talent and doctors and people like yourself that are excited about the Healy. So I just want to give you the mic here and let you share whatever's on your heart.
Sure thing. Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Pedro Orta. I'm a holistic chiropractic physician, and I've been doing all kind of unique and different things for most of my practice. And every year it gets more unique and more exciting. But I got the opportunity to get exposed to this at the same time as Dr. Hayes back in January. And anyhow, I got my device last Friday. And I started playing with it on Saturday. I picked it up at the office and started playing with it. And I started putting it in play at the office on Monday. And yesterday, I mean, I've had some pretty cool already things, but yesterday in particular, I had a lady who had an accident, again, a car accident about 20 years ago. And she's experienced pain in her legs ever since, in her ankles in particular, so much so that she had to change careers. And what she did was she did native plant restoration, and she's a very outdoors person. And so she's suffered not being able to hike as she used to, so because walking is so painful. In the process of our treatment, we've worked with her for about 10 visits, and she's already had some remarkable change. But yesterday, we did the Healy because it was the first time she'd come in since I'd had that. And we put it on her ankles, which have been swollen for 20 years, literally puffy, swollen, edematous, but you can't, so you can't see the ankle bone. And she's a relatively young lady, she's probably early 40s. And so after we finished working with her, I put her in another room where I put the Healy on, and we just ran localized pain is what I ran. I didn't do a scan on her, I just did a localized pain, 20 minutes. And after the 20 minutes, we went and then I went in there, took the pads off. Well, first of all, the pads were not conductive for her. So we did the wraps, we did the straps, the bracelets. And then the enough contact was on there that we were able to get conductive. And so after the 20 minutes, I went in, I took them off, I palpated the area that was painful previously, and she says, that doesn't hurt. And I said, well, it also seems less puffy, so why don't you tell me, since you're used to it? And she goes, yeah, like it's not puffy, it's like crazy, it's not, the change is dramatic. So I left the room and she came out. It took a little while before she came out, but when she came out, she goes, look what I can do. And so she stepped on her tippy toes and she says, I haven't been able to do that since the accident. And she literally put her hands up in the air. She says, I think I'm going to be able to hike again. And she was able to get on her tippy toes. And she says, I felt my calf muscles contract. So she was excited and I was excited for her. And that was just one of the things that we saw yesterday. I had an older lady, about 82, 83 years old, came in earlier that day brought in, no, she came in on Monday. She fell on Saturday. She slipped on it was been raining here in Florida, and she slipped on her driveway and landed with all her weight on her right ischium, on the butt bone, on the sitting bone. And anyhow, she's been in pain for all these since Saturday. And a friend of ours, we go to church together, and on Monday, one of our church folks called her up to see how she was doing. She says, I've been meaning to call you because I fell on Saturday and I've been in pain and I can't do it. She says, well, I'm taking you to Dr. Orta's. She didn't ask her if she wanted to go. She said, I'm taking you to Dr. Orta's office. So she took her to my office, and my son happened to be there. So my son and I carried her in because she could only drag her leg. And in order to expedite the process, we kind of carried her into the room. And I lasered her where she had hit. We did laser for about, I think it was 6 to 10 minutes or something like that. And she got up from the table, still in pain, but better. But then we put her on the same local pain program. And 20 minutes later, she got up and she says, I don't have any pain. I have minimal discomfort. And she walked out of the office because I took her home. I drove her all the way home. She got out of the car, says, I still don't have any pain. I have some discomfort, but no pain. And she walked like she had normally walks. I called her the next morning. She says, I'm still walking and not in pain. And today she was called by the friend who took her to my office, and she goes, I'm still doing good. So she's coming tomorrow again. But so this is pretty cool. I'm pretty fascinated by it already, and I've been used to using microcurrent and stuff like that, but I'm having fun playing it with myself, and just pretty exciting to see what changes are already occurring. Oh, one of my patients that actually got their device before I got mine, they've been using it with memory. The gentleman is 78 years old, and I don't know if he's on the call today, but he's been pretty excited about it. They got two. They got one for him and one for his wife. So he's been using it for memory, and he says he's already noticed a difference in 2 weeks with his short-term memory. And she's been working with it for hormonal things and has noticed a dramatic difference in her health. So this is pretty exciting. I'm just, I haven't seen anybody or experienced anybody that hasn't noticed a change using it yet. So I'm pretty fascinated by it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Order, for sharing that. When we first started this call, back about 5 or 6 weeks ago, Doc Steve, we didn't have these testimonies because we didn't have Healy's here in the U.S. And so it's amazing, Dr. Order and Dr. de Blasi, Dr. Steve, it's amazing just in 3 weeks of having the Healy, 3 to 4 weeks here. I think was one of the first to get in the U.S. after they started shipping, and the 3.5 weeks I've had a Healy. It's amazing to hear these stories coming in, and as we say, we don't treat, diagnose, or cure here. Is speaking from a layman's standpoint. Doctors can say that, but we're just so very excited to see what these stories that are coming out of people that are using this application of the frequency microcurrent, and it's amazing. It's just, so guess what, doctors? We get to have that same rewarding feeling of hearing people that we share the experience of the Healy with. We're getting to have that very rewarding feeling of hearing these great stories like we're hearing on this call tonight. And I know Dr. Lena Kapapis, are you on the call? I think I saw you before we go over back to Dr. Steve for questions. Dr. Lena, would you like to share for a moment? I know I saw her on just a moment ago. Dr. Lena? There you are. Can you unmute?
Yeah.
Welcome to the call tonight. Would you like to share for a moment?
I don't have my Healy yet.
Oh, wow. Well, you're in for a big surprise then. So you're still sharing from just the knowledge of what you believe that the frequency type microcurrent therapy can bring to people.
Sheila, it's not just a belief. It's a deep, a profound knowledge.
Yes.
My background is internal medicine, cardiology, alternative medicine, and author of a book about vibrations and frequencies. I shared that with you last time, excuse me. And the thing is that what we call as patient-physician rapport. It's a resonance between the patient and the physician. And to emphasize what Dr. Steve said earlier about intention. So the patient and the physician resonate in their deep intention, strong intention to create health or to give back health or to maintain health in the patient. And both the patient and the physician do that, and it manifests into the reality of the patient's healing, together with what they do in order to bring that about. And it also brings back what Dr. Steve said about the intention, because in the 4 years that I wrote the book, with a lot of years of research before that, I had a conviction. You know, it's not a belief, not a feeling, just deeply convicted that the future of medicine, both in self-care and in interventional medicine, which is done now in terms of frequencies, but not the way we're doing it with the small portable device of the Healy. It's they use specific standard fixed frequencies to deliver to the patient. But with the Healy, we affect the basic, the most fundamental, at the most fundamental level of frequencies of this at the cellular level, deep below cellular level, at this level of the 0 point field, the spirit, the level of the spirit, where everything is vibration, where you don't see anything that is material. There's no objects that you can see, hear, nor feel. It's all vibrations. It is there that we work with the Healy frequencies. And to think that we can scan your frequencies and detect whatever is wrong with the frequencies, and then give you back what you need to correct those frequencies that are not balanced, what more can you ask for? You know, so when I was told about this, I said, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. And so in the world of intentions and manifestations, the deeper, the more profound your intention, the more focused your attention, the more you work on that intention and attention and intention, and the more people there are. Like when we pray, the more people that pray, we bring about healing or whatever manifestation we want to have with the prayer. So there was Dr. Steve at about the same time, as I was having this conviction in my mind, the future of medicine is in frequency and vibration. Dr. Steve, Dr. Blasi, and the inventor of the Healy, the physicist in Monk, Marcus Schmicky, he had the same thing. Of course, it manifested so fast. So when I heard about it, I thought, oh my God, I thought that I would manifest it, but this is too fast for me. So this is what I've been waiting for medicine. As long as the energies of the people who are making the machine are together with us, we have the resonant energies of good intention for the good of the whole humankind, and not just humankind, all the creatures of the universe. That is so exciting. Back to you.
Said that your Healy didn't arrive yet, but guess what arrived today for me? Your book.
Oh, yes.
I purchased your book when I heard you speak about it the other day, and I immediately ordered it, and it showed up today. And I got it, and I flipped through it, and I'm so looking forward to reading it. It looks amazing. Thank you for writing.
Let me, can I just say, if you go to Amazon and look at the reviews, somebody very famous in the integrative anti-aging medicine wrote a review on that book. And he actually called me and said, no human being could write such a book, a book so profound. I'm not bragging, okay? I mean, I'm beyond that. So profound and so complex that you must have been channeled. I said, channeled? I don't know anything about channeling. I said, but I know that I was, my pathway has been there. I think I was guided to get here. And then when I would sit down to write the book about everything vibrates, you know, according to Hermetic teaching. When I would sit down to write the book, I would sit there and everything would just flow. Now, I did not write the book according to, you know, plots, nothing like that. I just wrote. And then when it was finished, I divided them into chapters. That's what you've got. So yeah, did I get channeled? You guys decide. There's some of you who are really, really experts in that. I have just my medical background with good intentions.
Lena, why don't you say the name of your book so that people know?
Okay, it's Love This Beautiful Musical Mathematical Universe. Musical and mathematical, because music goes according to the mathematics of harmonics, and mathematics is involved in the very, very beginning of material manifestation. You know, you've heard about Fibonacci. I mean, I could go a long time about this subject, but if you go to Amazon.com and just go to Love This Beautiful Musical Mathematical Universe, 3 adjectives. But there is, I created a website and it's Love This Universe. There are no adjectives at all. LoveThisUniverse.com. And you will see some of the reviews there also.
Highly recommended, Lena, and thank you so much for putting that together for lay people to have access to that information, because I think it's really important to have some of the background info that's easy to understand. And that is, again, a new addition to my library and something I will be sharing with many people. So thanks again.
I am deeply honored, and we have what we call originally it was my patient who said we have to call this quantum theologians, and I thought, whoa, that is going to be really, you know, some kind of what do you call that? You're braggadocious or something like that. But after all, you know, it becomes spiritual. You cannot get into quantum physics without getting into the spirit world. So
yeah, that's basically the whole concept that Marcus has brought forward on the planet, is that he was a trained quantum physicist, and then he spent 7 years after that in an ashram in India to connect the whole idea of consciousness and spirituality, because according to his point of view, there's a direct line between quantum physics and consciousness and spirituality. You cannot have one without the other. And then he took that information and created that device from it, so it's able to assess us on every level, not just the physical, but the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies, which is really what makes up all of us. And I've always said that unless you look at every one of those areas and you try to create a balance in all those areas, you'll never be able to reverse a condition that occurs in a person, because it's an alignment that occurs when all of those areas come into a state of resonance. And that's exactly what frequency medicine is about.
Beautiful, beautiful. I just want to know that the quantum theologian, we meet like every 2 weeks, every week, depending upon the situation. But coming Wednesday, I think we're gonna meet through Zoom, and it will be open to everybody. I will shoot an email to my upline and then to you guys, because I would like for people to understand the principles in order to really get the best of the book, because it takes you to a little bit of new information for a lot of lay people. Just like my friend said, I don't want to study anymore. I'm too old to study. I said, you're not too old to study. No, I don't want to study anymore. But it does take a little bit of study and a little bit of going back, because new information, you always have to learn it with repetition. And I tell you, if you live with it and you keep on going back to it, it infuses into you. Would you believe that, Dr. Steve? It
Yep.
just infuses the knowledge into you.
I think you become part of that. And one thing I'm learning too by using the device on a daily basis, and I've been using it now for about the last 6 months, is that it really begins to connect you so much more to just people and the universe. And I'm having more and more experiences every day where all I need to do is think of a person's name and they'll call me on the phone, or I'll know when the package is showing up or whatever, because, you know, the whole universe is everything, all that information is available to us at all times. And it's just our ability to connect more at that level that we become one with the universe, so to speak. And that's really what this device does. It's not just a healing device, but it's really a connecting device in allowing us to connect more freely to all of those levels of quantum consciousness that are out there, and, you know, the levels of the universe. You know, we ourselves live in more of like a 3rd or 4th dimensional world because, you know, of all of our senses, but there are so many dimensions that are actually out there that we don't access, but yet they're still around. And so I personally believe that this is giving us more of an ability to be more open to connecting with a lot of the other quantum levels that make up our universe that we may not actually know unless we start to raise the vibrational level in our bodies and become more in resonance with those things. And that's exactly what the Healy begins to do. So you can imagine, as more and more of these devices get out there, everyone's field will start to be raised. We'll be coming into more of a state of alignment and resonance with one another. And isn't this the perfect opportunity at this moment in time when this device has been brought into the planet? You know, there are no accidents that this showed up in my life at this moment in time. And I like to say also that this is a very interesting moment in time, and that it's the only time that I can ever think of that every single person on the planet is thinking of the same 2 things at the exact same time. When has that ever occurred in history? We're all focusing right now on our health because of what's going on out there in the world with the pandemic. And at the same time, a lot of people are also focusing on what can they do to establish a way to support themselves on a financial level too, because many people, because of this situation, have been unfortunately out of work or laid off, etc. And the Healy gives us an opportunity to deal on both of those realms simultaneously. And so what a beautiful opportunity and a perfect device to show up at this exact moment in time. Again, I really don't think there are any accidents. I know the 2 of us have been dreaming about this for the last 10 or more years, but it showed up right now, and there's a reason it showed up right now, is that now's the time when this can be, you know, used by the most amount of people that are open to this information. So there you go.
Absolutely. Thank you, Doc Steve. Thank you, Dr. Lena. I just love your energy. Speaking of energy,
I'm excited.
I can feel it from all the way from 5 hours away down in St. Louis, Missouri. I can feel your energy, and I just love it. And I can't wait to get the book.
So Spencer,
to read it as well. Thank you for sharing, and thank you, Doc.
Yeah,
pardon, Doc Steve.
I was asking Spencer if there are any questions out there.
Yeah, there are a couple of other questions. First of all, I just want to say there's a lot of people who are just supporting what Dr. Lena is saying, and a lot of them have experience in this field. They're supporting the concepts, and there's a fair amount of chatter going on with that, and it's great to see that, because a lot of people don't understand or have not been educated on these principles that have been around forever. But there are a couple of questions coming back to animals.
Okay.
Dr. Steve, you were talking about the animals, and one was, how do you apply the different electrodes to the animals themselves?
That's a good question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So you don't have to use the electrodes. So the beauty of our device is that it can be used in so many different ways and fashions. So for animals, a lot of times, you don't actually have to apply the electrodes. You only need to apply the frequencies. And frequencies alone for most animals are enough to make the shift. So when I was working with my dog, I didn't connect him specifically with the electrodes. What I did was I put his information in, as a client, because you're able to put the information of anybody if you have the resonance device in as a client. And then I did the scan by placing the device near him. It accessed his field, his etheric field, Akashic field, whatever you'd like to refer to it, information field. And it made the analysis, and it was exactly appropriate, because what showed up for him was lack of sense of purpose. And as I said to you, being a therapy dog, 5 days a week of him working in my office with patients, and that's what he loves to do. That's his excitement. Because I haven't seen patients in the last 2.5 months, he wasn't having that opportunity anymore. And he got into that state of depression, but it was smart enough to know what the underlying cause of that depression was. And then it gave me specific essences. I was working with him on the level of things like Bach flowers and homeopathy and things of that nature. And then I applied those frequencies directly to him by placing the device near him and running those particular frequencies. And within a matter of, a half hour, I could see his entire demeanor completely change. And he got back to that joyful place. So a lot of times with animals, you don't need to actually hook them up. And that leads me into one other level here too, that many practitioners out there that work with patients will be excited to know that there's also a remote capability of this device, so that you can treat and work with patients that are not only in your physical presence, but people that it doesn't matter where they are, anywhere on the planet. I've been doing that with my technology for the last 20 years, because on the level of quantum physics, there is no time and space. Everything is connected. And once you make that connection with that person, then you're connected. And at that point, you can send frequencies. I mean, it's like I try to tell people, the way I describe it is when you drive in your car and you want to listen to a radio station, you tune into like 94.7 and listen to some music. And then if you don't like that, frequency or that music, you switch to another one, and you're not connected in any way or shape or form to the actual radio station that's broadcasting that music to you. It's coming through the air on frequencies. Well, it's the same thing in a way that works when we use our Healys. Those frequencies are transmitted from the device, and they go into the air, into the universe, and they connect to whatever is resonating with them. And we all have our own unique frequencies, as unique as our fingerprints. So it'll only go to the person that has the information in there, the photograph, the information that relates to them. And so we can use this device to work with people wherever they are in the world. And that, to me, is an exciting extra benefit of having the device, that it can be used no matter where you are.
There is another question for you, Dr. Steve, and that is, I know that you are working closely with the development of some of these new programs. And when you mentioned about the animal program that's coming up and the others, do you have any insight whether or not these will be subscription type programs, or will they just be other ones that will be added to the existing ones?
They will be, well, because the programs that are out now are pretty much set based on the edition that a person purchases.
Mm-hmm.
And anything that comes forward at this point in time will be additions that anyone will be able to purchase. And the reason they're doing it that way is that, say, for example, somebody had like a Healy Gold device, which is the basic device, and yet they wanted to have, say, the animal program. If it was only specific to the individual editions they had,
right,
then they wouldn't be able to access it. Having it be a subscription program allows the option for people, irregardless of which edition that they have purchased, to have access to some of the other new exciting programs that are coming about. And besides the animal programs, I can let you know that some of the additional programs that we are working with now, and I'm working directly with the Medical Development Board on the programs. One coming up soon is a anti-aging program that's going to have frequencies of stem cells that will enable us to use those stem cells on our body to repair organs, which is exciting for me because I've been working in that realm for quite some time. Right. There's actually going to be a program that works with the brain to enable you to learn a foreign language in 6 weeks. And dozens and dozens of other programs that they're going to be coming up with over time. I think they'll probably be, sometime in the summer, they'll probably start to release these programs either every month or every other month. They have many, many, many programs in mind. And so that to me is really exciting, that not only would these be available, but they'll be accessible to everybody, irregardless of which edition that they've purchased. They'll be able to have the access to that.
Right. Well,
that's why they're doing it in that format as a subscription.
Right. Just to clarify, when we look at the a la carte menu on the pricing now, you can buy programs for a one-time price.
Right.
These will not be a one-time price. They will be a monthly subscription, right?
The ones you buy for a one-time price are basically the ones that are in the residence device.
Okay.
Just adding to your library. These are new programs that they want to be able to have everyone. So therefore, they felt the best way to do that is through that subscription option. But also, you know, from a business aspect, because we are actually not only have a healing device, but we also have a business. It creates more residual income for everybody.
Oh, we know that.
Not just a one-time purchase that we're making money on, but we now have a subscription service, so there's more income coming in also. So that benefits everybody ultimately.
That certainly does. That certainly, and it'll encourage everybody to get into the business for sure.
Correct.
Yeah. I don't. There's a lot of comments again about the energy. And I don't see anything here. If anybody has anything that is urgent, you can unmute and throw out your question if you want to right now.
Or if you have any unique and interesting experience with the Healy that you want to share with us all, that would be a time to do that now also.
Yeah, Lori Nath I think she was interested in saying something.
Yeah, I'd like to share a few I can share a few personal experiences, and also I've used frequency specific technology, and I have used bioenergetics in two other companies. So this system, like you said, Dr. Steve, I think it was in my vision and dream that it was going to manifest, because I was sharing the previous technology like they are recommending us do with the Healy, and nobody else in that other company was doing what I was doing. I was sharing it because I wanted people to learn about it. I was fortunate enough to order the Healy, and I got it that first Tuesday. So within 5 days, I had it. Ordered it on Friday, got it on Tuesday, but I'm in Utah. I'm using it right now. I'm a health coach and a certified health coach and practitioner. And some of my training, my training was working right along with a cardiologist and other doctors and some advanced practitioners. And so I've learned a lot through the years, and I'm pretty impressed with how easy this system is and so many programs. I just ordered the digital nutrition, and I have the Healy Holistic Plus. So right now I'm working on my brain. I've had some toxic exposures and falls. I've fractured my back 3 times. So this has been beneficial for me for my back and the pain, but also I'm hoping it's going to help improve the brain. I'm sleeping so much better. I noticed since I've been doing this, if you looked at my photo of me before, and that was like a year or so ago, my face, I did the purity the first day, and I could tell a difference in the swelling in my face had gone down. So inflammation in my body has gone down. I'm sleeping so much better. I really didn't realize how I was not sleeping real deeply. And I did have a client that I worked with, an older gentleman, 96. He is not able to go into a doctor, and he was having inflammation, swelling around his ankles, and his legs were all swollen, and he had congestive heart failure. His wife had previously passed the month before, so the family was very concerned that he might not be around much longer. So they asked me to come and work on him. I did the kidney and I did the heart on him, and his swelling went way down in his legs. The next day, his legs were back to normal. I worked on his heart again. And then a couple days later, they had me work on his heart again, and he was doing so much better that he took off on a road trip now, and I haven't seen him since. So that was really exciting. So,
Lori, and thanks for also bringing up the fact, one thing I didn't mention was the digital nutritional analysis, which is one of the newest subscriptions, which to me is one of the more exciting subscriptions
yes.
that is part of this program, in that the digital nutrition analysis is a group of about 75 different substances, your vitamins, minerals, and amino acids and other substances that you can call on to access and utilize as you would taking, oral vitamin supplements. So they would, if I want vitamin D, I just dial in vitamin D and get the frequency of vitamin D in my body. And the benefit of doing it that way is that we all know when we take oral nutritional supplements, we're only getting a very small percentage of those supplements that are actually metabolized in the body. Some people say it's as little as 10%. Whereas when you deliver the frequencies to all the cells of your body, you're delivering it at 100% level, so you're getting a better intake. And another device, I should say accessory that we haven't mentioned, but I do want to mention, is the Healy Watch. I do have the Healy Watch. I wear it every day. The Healy Watch is a biometric analysis device that allows us to assess in our body things like our heart rate variability, our levels of sleep, fitness parameters, breathing, etc., and taking that information every 24 hours, and the app does an analysis, and then based on that analysis will also let us know specifically which one of the programs we need to run on a daily basis to bring ourselves back into a state of balance. So it works as a nice addition to using the Healy itself, and that is currently available. So I would recommend taking a look at that also. Different than a Fitbit or an Apple Watch in that this device is calibrated to medical, instrumentation, so that when it gives you that feedback, you can be assured that it's accurate info. But also things like Fitbits and Apple Watches, because they're not medically, certified. And one of the things that was very exciting for me when I got the device is to also find out that it was FDA cleared as a Class 2 medical device, which takes away some of the issues some docs may have about using this type of equipment in their practice. Knowing that it's FDA cleared really brings it to a whole other level. But those Fitbits and Apple Watches, yeah, they may provide some information for you, but because they're not medical devices, they cannot legally do any kind of an analysis, where our Healy Watch not only gives you the information, but it also does the analysis and then recommends the specific programs that one needs to bring our body into a state of balance on a daily level. And you can use both of them in conjunction with one another. So I wanted to bring that out there too. So,
Don't they say the biggest challenges with our health or disease is from nutritional deficiencies, toxicity, emotional imbalances, and what's the fourth one? Can't think of the other one, but it's that creates disease. All of those things are the factors that create disease. So
exactly.
we have a device that can do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dr. Steve, somebody's just asking about the ETA in Canada. It's looking like September. Is that correct?
Somewhere at the end of the summer, September, yeah, would be a good.
Yeah, I heard the summer word, and we'd heard September before. So
it's like, I have personally been involved with other companies over the years, bringing other devices into the United States and Canada and North America. And I can tell you, I always used to think that the FDA was the most difficult to go through in order to bring a device in, but Health Canada has always presented as challenges to me when I brought other devices in, and actually have a stricter level of control there. So we're working with them, and our expectation is that by the end of the summer, somewhere around September, we'll be in Canada. And then of course, we're also working to bring the device into Mexico almost at the same period of time. And then we're just getting ready to open up South Korea too, by the way, just so you know. But we are in like around 45, 46 other countries at this point.
Right.
It's just opening up every couple of months.
There are some questions that keep coming up about specific diseases, but also the other thing is really how it works. And what we have been telling our people is that if you're working with somebody who's already a member of the team, then they can go into their back office and they can go into the manuals and they can pull those manuals out. And by reading those manuals, they have a lot of information in there. And I do recommend, and Dr. Steve, I'm sure you agree that if somebody takes the time to read that, they're going to have a lot of questions answered. And it certainly is worth the effort, that's for sure.
There's also dozens and dozens of YouTube videos out there that you can look up. A lot with Marcus Schmecke, Dr. Nuno Nina, Dr. Carolyn McMakin. If you use and look at some of the names out there, they're all working with the Healy device, and they have some really great Zoom presentations that they do if you'd like further information. So there is a lot of information out there that you can look to. And we try to keep it in the non-medical realm in terms of specific, terminology here, and that's because of our clearance. Because at this point in time, what we are cleared for and what we could talk about is the ability for our device to work in terms of levels of dealing with pain, on different levels of chronic pain, etc. And yet in Europe, they're able to talk about probably 10 other specific conditions that can be worked on. And even though we can't mention those by name, you just have to draw a conclusion that if they're able to mention it, because their system in Europe is a little looser in what they can say and we're not able to, it doesn't mean that the device doesn't work on those levels. It just means that we can only talk about what we're actually cleared for, which is basically in the level of pain. But it does so much more, as we've all been talking about today. It has 125 different programs that work in pretty much every level that you can imagine, both on the physical, mental, emotional, and even just situational levels. There was another program that is a new program that, again, is a subscription program that was just added that I highly recommend to everybody. That's called the Search Program. And the Search Advisor Program allows you to put in, literally type into that program any specific condition, symptom, disease, imbalance, and it will specifically tell you, based on the expert database, which programs you should run for those particular conditions. So that's why we don't like to answer those questions specifically, because there is a place you can get that information directly just by typing it in. And that's advisors.
And Sheila, we have somebody who says they have a testimonial, a Jeanette.
It's Jeannie, I believe. Jeannie, are you with us?
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
Thanks. I wasn't going to come on because my eyelids are like slits right now, and because I'm running the balanced sleep program. So I'm really looking forward to a good sleep tonight. But what I wanted to talk about is I'm having so much fun with the remote, using the Healy remotely. It is so amazing to me, and it's so rewarding to help people that are not anywhere near you, in a different state. And the thing of it is, I have, the good intention, and the person who I'm doing it to has good intention. And we can both tell that it's really working. Because at first I thought, oh, it's just going to be reading me. It's not going to be reading them because I'm the one doing it. But you could tell that, because I do an analysis on myself every day, and I can see that their analysis is much different than what mine is. So absolutely. I know it's not mine.
No, it's not.
And they can if
you put the parameters of that person in, it asks you for a lot of information about that person. Their name, their address, their date of birth, where they were born, a photograph. If you actually have seen that person once before, you actually take a frequency imprint of them that you store. But even if you don't, having that information, and then both of you having that intention, you're communicating with one another in that information field. And in that field, since everything is connected, you link up and make that connection. So it is in fact reading that person. And when you send them the frequencies, it is sending the frequency to that specific person. As I said, our frequency of our DNA in total is as specific as our fingerprints. So it's only going to go to that person that you direct.
This is going to upset the union of psychics that are out there and running their businesses. It's going to ruin the industry.
But they can even feel it.
Yep.
They could
Oh,
even,
of course. Yeah, well, absolutely. Yes. In fact, they can.
you know, I wanted
Been in that field for the last 20 years, as you know, and I have a big professional device that ran about $30,000. And I treat patients all over the world because many want to work with me and they can't physically travel to LA. And I've had situations where when I've run the remotes on there, you know, I've taken notes because I send them a report at the end, and I'll put down the time, you know, when I'm doing the actual scan, and they probably, and a lot of times don't know when I'm actually running that scan. And I've had people say to me, were you working on me at like 8:30 in the evening yesterday? Because all of a sudden I was just overcome with this like sense of some sort of energy that kind of, you know, approached me. And of course, when I look back, I said, that's exactly when I was working with you, was at that moment in time. So, you know, the whole idea of space and time and all of these things, you know, they're just created in our own mind. You know, that it really doesn't exist. Everything is a unified field. Everything, you know, exists at all time and at all space. And, you know, different you know, spiritual, you know, groups have their terms for it. Some call it the Akashic field. Some call it subspace. Some call it the information field. You know, prana, chi. I mean, there are so many terminologies because, again, as we talked about, this is not new information. This device, this work we're doing has been done for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. I mean,
Right.
the concept of acupuncture, the whole concept of homeopathy, these are all energy-based technologies that have been used forever. And we're just, you know, updating it right now with the newest technology and making it available in an easy to use format that people can now use on themselves. So, but it's not new. I mean, this has gone, you know, this has been around forever.
and I'm not a doctor and I can do this. I'm a retired teacher. I'm not a doctor and I can do this and I can see that it's working. But
yes,
Dr.
absolutely. Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
one question for you. On the client list where it says title, what is supposed to go in there?
You know, that's an optional box, and you know, it's sort of an open end kind of a thing. You can ask the person specifically what they want to put in there. I mean, you can put in there a title like a doctor, or you can put in there something like an artist, or even an intention that a person has for themselves.
Okay.
So that's kind of an open box in terms of, and it doesn't have to be filled in. But if you do, you know, you can ask the person, what would you like your title to be? Let them choose it.
Okay, good. I haven't been using it because I didn't know.
Yeah, that's what that's for. It's kind of open-ended for that purpose. So people can put their own decision on what they want in that box.
We have another testimonial, I think, that Judy was going to tell us something.
Okay. Hi, Judy.
Okay. I'm even going to let you see me, even though I have no makeup on. So this past weekend, I went to a chiropractor that has been working on me for 35 years. And I've been telling him about the Healy, and I had my residence set for a vibration, and I told him, I said, I'm just going to put this on because whatever, I'm a thyroid. I said, so you can work on me and there's no wires in the way. And he's very laid back. He said, okay. And he starts working on me, and all of a sudden he goes, the energy just changed in the room. There's something else in here. I said, it's probably my information field receiving the frequencies. I said, look at my phone. And he did. And then he worked on me some more. A few minutes later, he goes, it's a different energy now. I said, look at my phone. And it indicated differently. And he was so fascinated with it. And he said, I wonder if I'll be able to tell when it's done. I said, well, let me know. Sure enough, I think I set it for 26 minutes. Around that time, he said, okay, the energy is not there now. I said, okay, look at my phone. So he was so sensitive and in tune to the frequencies, you know, changing and moving through the different levels that he's pretty fascinated, and he promised me he'll be on the Zoom tomorrow night because that's his only night that he doesn't treat patients.
Yeah, and that's a great point.
Great story.
That you brought up, because of the fact that, you know, sometimes I get the question is, you know, can I overtreat myself? Can I treat myself too much? And the answer to that is absolutely not, because even though a program may say in the corner that it runs for 55 minutes, it'll, and many times when I use it at least, and I'm sure all of you have had the same experience, it'll shut off, say, at the 50-minute mark. And that is, it knows, because of the artificial intelligence, the time when your body has absorbed the right amount and the right level of frequencies that you need at that session, and then it just literally turns itself off. So he probably knew at that moment, you know, that that wasn't on anymore. And as you see, when you see the programs running, approximately every 10 seconds, the frequency changes, and you'll actually see a reading on the screen of your phone that says, you know, 108.7, 93.6, 100,000.40. And so those frequencies will change about every 10 seconds. And you'll feel changes as you hook it up, because the lower frequencies tend to be more towards the physical level of the body, and you'll tend to feel them more so than the higher frequencies, which tend to work more towards the emotional, spiritual levels. And it will run through its course. But yes, it will complete itself and turn itself off when you have reached that level where your body doesn't need any more for that day, which to me is just an amazing additional aspect of the device. So there's never a problem of worried about being overtreated, getting the wrong frequencies. Never happens.
Doc Steve, I got another question here, and that is
Sure.
that all the examples you're getting, of course, you're using the resonance device, and
Right.
and of course you're using the search advisor feature in that.
Right.
For those people who are buying the gold and the Healy Holistic Health device itself, could you explain how that device picks up the information without scanning as it is? I think there's a little confusion about that.
Okay, good question. So the difference between that is that with the resonance device, you're able to scan yourself in order to pick up which particular program that your body is resonating in to use that day. However, on every single program you use, irregardless, once you turn on that program, the artificial intelligence makes that connection between you and the German cloud, so that with each one of the programs that you use, there is always a communication which determines which frequencies you get. So in a way, you are being, you know, even if you have a gold or holistic health, you still have that connection happening that's providing you with those specific frequencies that you need in any of those particular programs. The only difference is that the resonance goes that one step further, that allows you to then make the decision for you, instead of you looking at your list and picking out which program you either resonates with you or relates to the kind of conditions that you're having in that moment in time. The resonance will select based on the scan. But in essence, irregardless of which edition you have, once you turn that program set on, that communication begins between you and the German cloud, and those frequencies are going back and forth every 10 seconds, making a determination. So in essence, it is doing a scan on you when it's running those programs.
Okay, because that was confusing to some people.
Yeah.
So,
no
so the other thing too is when we're on the Frequency Friday last week, they made reference to every 10 seconds, different frequencies are being sent. Can you talk about that a little bit so people understand?
Yes. So as I mentioned earlier, any particular program feature you have, say for example, we're choosing the pain program feature, there are associated with that program somewhere in the vicinity of 500 or more unique frequency sets that go into that program. However, when we run that program, we don't get all of those 500 particular frequencies all at once. Through the artificial intelligence, it selects which frequencies are going to be run, and that frequency set is changes every 10 seconds. And each 10 seconds, as those frequencies come into us, you can see, if you're looking closely at the device, there's some negative percentages and positive percentages on the bottom, because at every moment in time, that communication is determining for how long and the intensity and the specific program that it's running. And the more negative that percentage that you see on the bottom when it runs, it means your body needs that particular frequency more than the other frequencies. And as soon as it reaches that place where you've gotten enough of it, that frequency will not repeat again. However, you may see if you really look closely while it's doing it, certain frequencies will repeat maybe 5 minutes later or 7 minutes later, because your body still needs that particular frequency from the set. So it does change every 10 seconds, but it's totally related to your body in that moment in time, in the specific use that you need based on that artificial intelligence. And that personally, to me, is the reason why this device not only is unlike any other device that I have seen out there, but as you heard from some of the testimonials today, why people are getting such a quick result that you don't get with other devices. It's because it is so connected to you and so specific to what's happening in the moment that you're getting what you need, and the changes happen, instantaneously.
One of the phrases also we picked up from our German friends who have had 15 months experience with this was they talk about docs in a box. And I love that phrase. We're using it all the time. So to end tonight, I'd like you to tell me how many docs there are in the box.
Well, I mean, I actually was the one that brought that term forward, but that's
love it.
You heard me say it too. When I doc in a box, meaning that we have an expert team of doctors that have been using the device for somewhere up to 14 years, and they all contribute. So as they see patients, they're always doing research, they're always sending information to the company. And so the way we treat and work with a lot of different, of the different specific conditions and imbalances is based on all the knowledge that has been created over the last 15 years with more than 2,500 physicians in Germany. And this, as everyone uses the device, the beauty of artificial intelligence is the fact that it learns over time. So as more and more people use the device is actually learning as it's working with every single person. And the more people it works with, the more it learns and the more it adapts and develops. So we have the benefit of having the knowledge of all of those particular practitioners that have been using and working with the time waiver device over the last 15 years. And you'll notice when you start to use the advisor search program, if you choose that program and enter information in there, if you, for example, enter some information in there that it doesn't already have about a certain condition, within a matter of days or weeks, if you re-enter the information that you're looking for, you'll find out that it shows up. Because a lot of the other docs that have been working on this, they will contribute to what they have seen has worked in their practice and add that information into the expert database. So we have a lot of docs in the box right now.
Yeah, that's
more than 2,500 at this time.
Well, that's a lot of docs in the box.
Yeah,
And
it is.
I want to thank you for answering those questions so thoroughly tonight. We've got
welcome.
a lot of information. We've had a lot of good questions. I'm going to throw it back to Sheila.
Thank you, Spencer, so much for your help, and Doc Steve for answering all those great questions. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, Jeannie, for contributing to our call tonight. This call is not just for the docs, it's for anybody who has an appreciation, an understanding, or a healing practice with frequency type therapy. And so we're so excited to have all of everyone here that's very enthusiastically learning more and sharing more of this great new opportunity to get Healys to as many people as we know. Thank you all for joining our call tonight. Thank you, as always, Dr. Steve Small. Thank you, Dr. DeBlasi and Dr. Order and Dr. Lena. Thank you so much for sharing on this call tonight. I hope that you will be back with us again next week. All of you that are guests, bring someone with you, because who do you know who could benefit from this incredible information that you've heard about tonight in the Healy and all that it has to offer. So everyone have a great rest of your week. Next Wednesday, 8 o'clock Central, here in this same Zoom room. If you have any other questions, get back with the person who invited you here tonight. Everyone have a great rest of your evening. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doc Steve.
Night.
Good night to everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night. Guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.